folks. Want to thank you all for being a part of the broadcast today. This is Pastor Sherman Ray, and this is This Week in Prophecy. Hopefully, everybody's doing well today on a fabulous Tuesday. We're starting to get into the warmer months here in Las Vegas, and this is a time of year where we call it thinning out the herd. Yeah, that's right. All the people who are probably not used to any warmth are starting to say, "Hey, maybe it's time to go to cooler climates." But we're the folks that stick it out, and we're gonna stay at it. Folks, there's a lot of stuff to talk about today. Okay, but let me get us started here. If you're watching us on our YouTube channel, folks, we've got the broadcast up now. And if you'd like to get in on the conversation, we'd love to have you in on the conversation at This Week in Prophecy. Or maybe you'd like to write to us at thisweekinprophecy@gmail.com. That's thisweekinprophecy@gmail.com. We'd love to have you a part of the broadcast. Also, I've had people saying, "Hey, guys, we went to Godstream TV and it looks kind of different." Well, Godstream TV is getting an upgrade, which is pretty cool. But with every upgrade, there comes problems. It's always problems. And so trying to eliminate some of those, but you can still always find the broadcast. You can just type them in and it'll come up, which will be great. So fear not. Go to Godstream TV and check it out. Also, Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. So a lot of crazy things going on in the world today. But we want to definitely talk about the things that are going on in the world, and I think from a biblical perspective, we got some things to shock you. I think we really do. So before we go any further, let's bring our co-host on the show, Aaron Newton. Aaron, how are you doing today?
Hey, there he is. What's happening? I'm good.
Yeah. Another beautiful day.
Every day.
Every day is a beautiful day, man. I'll tell you. So did you have a busy weekend? Because this has been a really crazy busy weekend.
Yeah, I went to visit my dad. I took my son and my wife, and we went and visited my dad in Arizona. And he's been in a wheelchair since he got out of the hospital. He's still not mobile, so I built some ramps in his house, and then he bought a gym. I put it together so he could do his physical therapy on it. We just hung out for the weekend, and then I saw my niece and my sister, and it was busy. Lots of driving, lots of building,
a lot of building, there's nothing wrong with that. I'll tell you. So now is your dad in California?
Arizona.
Okay.
Yeah, he moved away right when I did, actually.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I thought you might have gotten around to the L.A. area this weekend.
No.
I'll tell you, this has been.
No, I have a friend that I work with, and he called me. He texted me on maybe Friday or Saturday, I don't know. And he was at the Midway Museum in San Diego.
Okay.
And I said, okay, there's a place right down the street from there. It's called Anthony's Fish Grotto, and they have the best lobster burritos. And so he texts me again later. He's like, that food was so good. We even got some to go for later. Like, these burritos are big burritos, and it's not like, meat or whatever and a little bit of lobster. It's like big chunks of lobster in these burritos. And they're, I remember last time I went there was like $9, but he said they were $15. Such good food. But he said on the way back, he was driving back to Las Vegas, and he said, we just avoided all that stuff in LA as we were driving home. So, yeah.
And did he describe what all that stuff was? Did he just, because does he live in LA proper? Or, no, he's in San Diego, right?
No, he lives here in Vegas. They went to San Diego for the weekend.
Okay, yeah. So did he describe what that stuff looked like? Because I'll tell you, I didn't even know about it until Saturday. Late Saturday is when I found out about that anything was even going on in California.
No, he didn't really say. He just said that, like, there was a lot of traffic, but they kind of avoided like the blocking of the freeways. But it was
Mm-hmm.
still, still a lot of craziness. He didn't really describe it in detail, but
Yeah.
that's so funny because I know I should probably ask him because we're talking about it here. But
Yeah.
I saw this clip on one of the media sites, and it was titled "Gossiping with Men," and like it was a man, and he sits down in front of his wife. He's like, I saw Mark today. He was crying because him and you know Susan broke up, and then she said, "Oh yeah, really? What happened?" And he goes, "I don't know. I didn't ask." And you could see like she was so angry, and she smacks him, and it's like that's gossiping with men. Like, I don't know. I didn't ask. Like, if you want to tell me, he'll tell me.
Yeah. That's gossiping. That's
I
it.
thought that
Sure.
was so
Yeah.
funny.
Well, it was definitely a crazy thing. So, for those of you that you may not know what happened and it is still going on right now in Los Angeles right now, they had some ICE guys were going in to pick up some guys over at this police station. So happens the police station, I believe, or the facility where they were going to go to, is next to a Home Depot. And if you've been to a Home Depot, folks, you know who's out front, right? It's generally the guys, the day labor guys. They're going to try to find some work, that kind of stuff. And when people found out that that the ICE agents were going to this facility, and they mistook it for these guys going to get the day laborers over at Home Depot, which is pretty much it. So here's the thing. This is how bad things can get. Is that a misunderstanding fueled by attitudes, these conditions and everything, just the right amount of thing, has turned into now a 4-day long rioting thing in Los Angeles, where you've got people throwing rocks at police cars, you've got people looting um, Apple stores, mom and pop shops, burning cars in the middle of the road. Matter of fact, one guy, he was wearing a Trump hat. You know, he made the mistake of going in there with his MAGA hat on, thinking he's going to be all right. He ended up getting bloodied and everything else. Um, Probably by now, they probably had a couple of hundred um, people arrested. This is just ridiculous. So, so when and I would assume you've heard about the rioting. What was your thought when you first heard about these riots going on?
Oh, okay. So, I know we've talked about this. I can't remember when, but um, stop looking at the dumpster fire and look at what was smoldering. That's what I thought about first time I saw this. In 2020, when the George Floyd riots happened, and it was like, no, it's peaceful protesters. You had Kamala Harris bailing people out of jail,
Mm-hmm.
even, and they kind of let it go. It just kind of like whatever these people did, they just let them go. You didn't have a lot of prosecutions, and Donald Trump said, "I'm never gonna let this happen again,
Yeah.
not like this." So this time, I think the emboldened, the like we had talked about how the head of the snake was cut off, and now the body's flailing all over the place, right? So now this is what you have. You have a bunch of people who think that I can get away with whatever. I can yell and scream and throw a tantrum, and I'll get my way, right? So you saw that like in Washington State, where it was kind of the same thing, yell and scream, and then they brought up Chaz, right, the Summer of Love, but people were getting shot, people were getting hurt. It was just the people who lived in that area did not want that, but the state and the government, the people who would pay taxes for, it, did nothing. No, no, no. It's just let them have their tantrum. We're not going to put them in timeout or none of that. So here it is again, right? There you see the dumpster fire, right? And everybody's like, "Oh, watching what's happening in LA." However, there is many things going on that they're not talking about because they're talking
Mm.
about the dumpster fire.
Yeah.
That's instantly
Like
what I
yeah.
you know.
So
Go
you're
ahead.
talking about the like you said. people thinking that they're going to get away with things. That's one of the things that might be going on. What other kind of things do you think are? Because we're definitely watching the dumpster fire. You turn on the TV,
Yeah.
it's wall to wall. That's all you hear about. And like I said, I didn't hear anything about it until I think it was Saturday. It's got to be sometime Saturday is when I heard about it. And they said, "Oh, it's been going on for a couple of days now." And I went, "What? I mean, how is this going on for 2 days?" And I watch the news all the time. I mean, all the time. And I think I watched a movie. That's probably what happened. I sat down with my wife and I go, "Nope, not going to watch any news. I'm going to watch a movie." And then the riots happen. Yeah, right. And I go, what was I doing? Did I miss this? So you're saying the dumpster fire is basically the fires, the stuff going on. But what else is happening behind the scenes on this whole thing?
Well, so look who we have who is advocating for these people to, this is peaceful protest. Hillary Clinton, Maxine Waters, Karen Bass, Gavin Newsom, right? These are all the people that are saying, they're just, and then you have lots of other people, but these are the main faces right now that we're seeing. I saw a story about Hillary, also Kamala Harris, and they're just being lambasted, I guess that's the word, on the internet because of what they're saying. They're saying the same thing in 2020. They're just peaceful protesters. And then you see, and so I know that right before this, they were talking about that monorail or that one way or the train to Vegas to say they gave all this money, then nothing's built, but yet the money's gone. And they're like 100 times over budget. I heard Trump talking about it, and he mentioned it again today. Let's create havoc so we take our attention off of what's been being uncovered lately, right? With the Doge and all that stuff, all these things that have been uncovered. We don't want Trump in our business, or we don't like Trump, or whatever it is, because those people are turning this into Trump did it, right? Just like 2020, Trump did it. This is Trump. He's the one that started all this. It wasn't them out there saying, I saw Maxine Waters on the news, and she tried to go into an ICE detention center. And the guy's like, "No, you want to come in? You need to go through public affairs." And he shut the door in her face. And I could see she was like, "Did you just shut the door in my face?"
I know.
And she turned around.
Maxine
I can't
Waters,
believe
I
they're
know.
treating. Oh yeah, she was seeing stars. And it was like, I can't believe they're treating brown and our people of color like this. And like, okay, first thing, here we go. We're going to start with the racism again. It's racist. But look at the people who you have. Like, these are the people that have run California into the ground.
Yeah, sure.
I grew up in California. I loved it. Now, I didn't really understand politics at the time, but I thought it was a great place to live. And this was a long time ago, of course. It was much different than it is today. It wasn't a bunch of pink hairs and blue hairs, but it was very different. It was a nice, like I grew up in Azusa. It was a nice place to live. It was a nice city. We weren't harassed. It was a nice place to live. Now it's chaos. I didn't get my way. Trump got elected, so we're going to start havoc again. And they wait for the there's a saying that I remember the Democrats had. It's, do not let a crisis go to waste.
Never let a crisis go to waste.
You saw what they were doing. Sure. You saw what they were doing all over the country, where they're waiting at courthouses for these trials to end. Oh, okay, it's dismissed. Okay, we're taking, and they pick them up, take them away. As soon as it came to California, havoc starts.
Yeah.
Why? Why? It's not people are really just so concerned. Yeah, probably a lot of people some of their family members are gonna go away, but I mean, do you think that do you think the majority of California really is so concerned with this? It's just a small group of crazies.
Yeah. So I'm gonna postulate something here, because there was California has a dynamic group of people that live there. I just heard this today, and which was very interesting, is they were saying that 40% of California is Latino, okay, Mexican, okay. Um, in LA, it's about 39% or so, like that, of people. And don't get me, the numbers might be a little off, folks, but just bear me out. 8% of those people are actually illegal aliens, people who should not be here, but come here and they work in the fields, and they do their thing. They pay taxes. And so the thing was that they said that if you mess with our people, then you're messing with our money. You're messing with our labor. So do you see any similarities? Because they're going to fight to the death on this whole thing. I mean, they're going to say, hey, guess what? We're fighting to the death. Matter of fact, they've got the president of Mexico who are saying, hey, guess what? Go ahead and stand up for our rights, that kind of stuff here in America. Do you see any similarities to what California is doing now? Similarities between that and what happened in our country back in the 1860s, where you had a group of people who said, hey, guess what? We've got a group of slaves. Oh, I'm sorry. I said it out loud. I've got a group of people who because not all of the South had slaves. Not all the people in the South had slaves. Just slavery was in the South, but not everybody had a slave. It was only a group of people. It was a very small group of people who had slaves. And they said, guess what? We are going to keep our way of living no matter what happens. Because guess what? We've got a way of living. California, by just essentially, has a slave market. And those people are illegal aliens. And they're pimping those folks. And they're saying to the guys, guess what? We're keeping our people. We're keeping our people here. We don't care whether they're illegal. We don't care whether they're criminals. We're keeping our people because, one, they serve a purpose for labor, but number two, which was just brought out, was that when the census comes around, the census doesn't care whether you're an American citizen or not. The census comes around, it says, is there an alive body there? Because we're going to count that person, and that person is going to be, we're going to apportion your representatives based upon those people that are there. See, a lot of people are leaving California right now. California needs all those people because guess what? They want power, comes with, and you need people for that power. So I'm thinking that that's part of what's going on in California also.
You're talking about the electorates, right? You're talking about the 47 California electorates, right? Well, that's I think it's all in kind of all entwined in this ball. I think that's part of it. Yeah, because California and New York and Texas, they have the most amount of electorates, right?
Mm-hmm.
And California is like 47. So many people have left California. Once they leave, yes, and then the sweeps that are happening, it's gonna drop their electorates for sure.
Oh, yeah.
But like when you were talking about the South and slavery, it wasn't everybody owned slaves because they were expensive. It was landowners, people that had money, upper middle class had like one or two maybe to work their farm, but it was mostly the big landowners, the cotton growers, stuff like that. And they knew, it's going to cost them a lot of money if these people are gone, and we have to actually pay people to pick the cotton and run the gins and all that stuff. So, I mean that could be a big part of it, but I think it's more about hating Trump. Like this group of people is not as big as we think it is. These protesters and stuff, they're not as big as they think it is. And I think it's a mixture of, we need to make this fire so people look at them, and these are my people, even though they're not American citizens. These are my people because we're all from Mexican descent, or wherever it was. I think you have a mixture of those two people. But when you see, just like the 2020 and today, when you see these people throwing rocks at the trucks and burning cars, there's a picture of that man standing on top of a car with a Mexican flag. That is a white dude. I heard it, like you can hear in the on the tape him talking. So you know,
Mhm.
gosh, it's really difficult to tell.
Yeah.
But I really think this is more about we're going to try to hurt Trump like we did in 2020.
Hmm.
And, I think a lot of that cost him the part of the election. I think,
Yeah.
COVID at the same time. You
Sure.
had two now, there's been two stories of Chinese immigrants getting caught
Sure.
bringing in biological,
Biological stuff.
uh,
Sure.
yeah. So
Yeah.
I think it was a mix. It's kind of
Yeah.
replaying like it was in 2020, but
Yeah. Well, let me
Sherman,
postulate something else also. You mentioned something that I think is just, I think it's going to be key, is that we're looking at the dumpster fire when we should be watching what's
yeah.
actually going on behind the scenes. I think Trump is just it's just an excuse. I don't think Trump has anything to do with the plans of people trying to get power. I think he's just an easy. He's very easy. He stands out like a sore thumb. He stands out like a red hat in a sea of white, foam, right? And Trump is just easy pickings for people who want to direct their people. Let's go after. So why are we doing all this stuff? Trump, Trump, Trump. Trump has nothing to do with anything.
Hmm.
These people want power. They want to control. They want to move. They want to get things going their direction. And what better way than to find a red herring, okay, a dumpster fire, than Trump? Okay, you've got all these. So in California, California wants to keep illegals, right? They don't really want to keep illegals. They want voters. They want voters to vote for them because that's the only way they're going to keep their power. And so now they'll use anything. If they needed to use fish, they would go fish. Okay, they would say, hey, we need more fish, whatever it is. Trump doesn't like fish, so let's go after Trump because okay, and so their way of doing things, in my estimation, is to try to find something to get people agitated, something they can get behind. Because every time you talk to them about stuff, they've got this guy Hakeem Jeffries, and they said, Hakeem, do you agree that we should protect our ICE guys against people wanting to help? And what is the first thing he does? He goes on to Trump, and he goes, guess what? Because he knows that is what's going to keep people agitated. It's going to keep people animated. And isn't that the way the devil works? He doesn't want you to see that bad things are, that what you're doing is bad, so he deflects and he gets you looking at other things. I love the analogy of the dumpster fire. I'm going to use it. I'm going to use it in a sermon this weekend. I really am, because I think it is really what Satan does and what he's doing in these final days. Because it has nothing to do with Trump. It has nothing to do with illegals. It has nothing. It's really about power and him and Satan. Because what's going on below the surface in this whole thing? What happens if Democrats are successful and they go back, and if they go back in office again, guess what they're going to do? They're going to do the exact same thing. They're going to let another 20 million people in here, because that's the only way they're going to be able to keep power, is to find a group of willing people to vote for them.
Well, I'll add on to that because
Mm-hmm.
this is what I see when I go back through what the Lord's been telling me is that people are being uncovered. And I think that we're about to see, and I said this before, remember these words because we will see this treason. Okay. We're going to see treason, maybe even like military tribunals, stuff like that, right? Because I mean, yeah, they want power, they want to control, they want to whatever it is, right? But I think that he's not. It's not that they hate. I mean, they do hate him because they're full of evil and they're just anger and hatred, and that's what people do when they're full of that. But I think that him being the top, right, delegating these, okay, you guys are going to go look at this and you guys are going to go look at this and we're going to put this person now in front of DHS and this person in front of the military. They're afraid. I think they're truly afraid of what he's doing. The uncovering is starting. And so instead of these things playing out in the news like this is what we're supposed to see, now it's, well, we're going to again create a fire. We're going to light this dumpster on fire. Don't look at the smoldering ones. That doesn't mean anything. Just look at the fire. And people are
Yeah.
always people are constantly attracted to the shiny object,
Oh yeah.
but being, being living in the spirit and the prophetic realm, you got to look at it from the top down. Stop looking at what you see at your eyes. You got to look from the top down. You can see, oh, this place has chains, this place has chains around it, this place has chains, this place, and this one right now is pulsating red, right? And you can see what the enemy's doing here. Just like you said, he's going to distract you,
Yeah.
right? Because what did we say? Like, what is the enemy? He can't create anything. He's not.
No.
He's not building his people. He's just distracting, constantly telling people they're bad, right? That they're evil and God doesn't love them. All whatever it is, but it's just words. It's just, look at this. Why do we see the evil prosper, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
it's there. He's telling them how to do what he wants them to do, and
Mm-hmm.
so this, it's just with your eyes stop, like whatever we see, do not be afraid. I know
Yeah.
that
Don't be afraid. Yeah.
people get nervous, or they are kind of in fear of something, whatever it is. Like, this is what's supposed to happen in the dream where I saw the man with the suit and they were gathering all the illegals and they were scooping them up, and I remember I felt kind of bad, like like I grew up in California. I knew lots of people like that growing up, but I felt kind of bad. And he's like, don't worry, this is what's supposed to happen. And
Yeah.
so here we are today. We're seeing the government and the arm like scooping up these people that he said he was going to do, and this is what's supposed to happen. All the things that are happening right now are what was supposed to happen. And so,
Yeah.
you know, um, we could talk about the dream in a little bit, but it's
Yeah.
just so,
Well,
this was my job to spill it, what he wanted me to say. And don't be afraid. Do
yeah. Don't
not
be
be afraid
afraid.
whatever you see.
Yeah. There is a book that's being written, it's being passed around recently, and I don't remember the lady's name, but one of the things she said she interviewed the president over the last year or so, and remember when he got shot and took off part of his ear and stuff like that. Well, she said she interviewed him shortly thereafter, and he said something very interesting. He said it was in a moment, kind of a tender moment, a vulnerable moment, that it actually had affected him, and that he knew that God had saved him for a reason. And and we've all talked about this before, whether or not he's saved or not, or something like that. But she said this was something that had profoundly touched him, and that's why he's doing what he's doing right now. That he's now President Trump did things during his first term. He brought, he did the embassy and did the Abraham Accords, that kind of stuff, which kind of got everybody in the Middle East kind of going crazy. But this was something different in that when because what he's doing now, he is actually touching at the core of what's going on in American society. And I think that's one of the things that's scaring the Democrats. I think Democrats right now, people on the left, are saying, "Hey guys, guess what? We've got to do something to stop this guy, because if what he's doing, he brought in Elon Musk, right? Kind of like Jehu, right? Jehu, I was going to mention this earlier, that Jehu came in, right? And we talked about this quite a while ago. When Jehu came in, he said, "Hey, guess what? I heard about some of these scriptures. I heard about these scrolls. Hey, bring them in." And people started reading them. And what did that do? It reinvigorated people. It started getting people thinking, wait a minute, we're God's chosen people. We're supposed to be following this. Trump is doing the same thing. Trump is saying, I'm going to bring back religion. I'm going to bring back this thing. And I'm going to, you thought I overturned the apple cart before. Guess what I'm going to do now? I'm going to show you guys what the underbelly of this country looked like. And what did he do? JFK files. These are examples, of course. JFK files, this MLK, blah, 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 blah. And now he brings in Elon Musk. He starts showing people, guess what, waste, fraud, and abuse. And people are going, wait a minute, what's this guy doing? He's bringing in religion. He's overturning the apple cart. And I think when you talk about treason, this is going to be big. The whole Biden thing is probably going to be one of the biggest things in our nation's history when they find out that, guess what, Joe Biden wasn't in control and other people were doing this. And oh my gosh, does that make sense?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, they thought they ruled everything. That, like, imagine whenever a Republican president would get nominated, oh well, okay, so they're fighting against him, but they didn't worry about that president overturning
Yeah.
the cart because he was still a swamp creature, just
Yes.
like every other swamp creature. Maybe you know their views on things are different, but they're still swamp creatures. He was not one of them, right? So if they said, okay, well, you know, you can't do this because that's the way it is, he said, I don't care. I saw last time what happened when I tried to come in and work with you guys, and you guys were all stabbing me in the back.
Yeah.
Now I'm putting my people, and I don't care. You're gonna have to stab me in the front, and it's just not gonna happen. So, and again, with that getting shot in the ear, God can use anybody. I'm not saying he's a Cyrus. All I'm saying is God used a pagan to bring back the nation of Israel.
Yeah.
It doesn't, whether he's a believer or not, God can use a donkey, right? He can use
Yeah.
whoever he wants to get his, right? Because we pray, right? What is the prayer? Your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. And
Yeah.
that's his will, whatever through this man is being done on earth. And like I said, we had to go through those 4 years. We had
Yeah.
to see, because and people's hearts still aren't ready for it. They still don't believe it. Oh,
Yeah.
no, 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 just go home
Yeah.
and live a peaceful life and be quiet. Don't shake any apple carts. Like, no, 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 no,
Well,
that
you
time
know
is
what?
over.
Well, but people have been gotten used to living this way, and once swamp creatures start climbing up the ladder of success, and they're entrenched. I mean, the whole society is entrenched. It really is. I was talking about this uh, Sunday. We're starting to do. No, excuse me, Wednesdays. So Wednesdays we're doing a study on generational curses, breaking generational curses. And how those generational curses, we think about them as far as just for people, right? Just for people. But those generational curses are actually on nations also. Well, America
Sure,
has
down the
got
line.
generational curses, right? America is suffering through a lot of this stuff. And we've got, we're paying the price. The repercussions of stuff that happened many years ago, and in some cases it was just 100 years ago, are now starting to rear their ugly head, and we've got to get those things out. So we've got a lot of things that we've got to do in this country. Before we get going too much further, because we're gonna pivot here and we're gonna go on to some of the stuff that some of these really very cool visions that the Lord's given you. I want to remind people, if you're watching us on our YouTube channel, go ahead, jump in on the conversation. We'd love to have you in on the conversation. If you'd like to write to us, go ahead and write to us at ThisWeekInProphecy at gmail.com. That's ThisWeekInProphecy at gmail.com. Love to hear from you. Check us out on Spotify, Apple Podcast, or on Godstream TV. So, Aaron, before we get going too far, because because we could talk about this all day long. We really could. I love
Yeah,
this.
we'll run out of time.
We'll run out of time. So let's get to some of the prophetic things that the Lord's given you. Go ahead, and I'm gonna hand it over to you.
Okay, so this April 28th or 29th, it was season 2, episode 18.
Okay.
And it was the one where we had talked about Elon Musk, and we were in LA, and this was a dream where we went outside and people were giving him a hard time. They were kind of yelling at him and stuff, and he's just saying, I don't like this. I don't want to do this anymore. It's just tough for me. And we were stuck on a monorail, and anyways, it started going. So in that episode, you and I had talked about Elon Musk, and I said I've been having a lot of dreams about LA lately, and and also dreaming about Karen Bass and the mayor of Los Angeles, and just that we're gonna see something there soon. So I'll give you that dream
Yeah.
now. And
Mm-hmm.
I think I sent it to you last week sometime, right?
Yep.
Yes. Okay, so this was Wednesday, April 16, 2024. I dreamt that I was in LA and I met this couple who were on a film. They film a TV show, and on the TV show they were teaching people how to dance. And they were teaching people how to dance. I don't know why I knew them, but they brought me to their home, and I remember when I walked in, it smelled bad, like dog feces and urine. It was really horrible, like a just a real bad place. And I asked them, and I'm like, "Is this where you?" Because the on the show they're at their home all the time, and I asked them, "Is this where you filmed the show?" And they said, "No, we have a studio that looks exactly like our house, and that's where we film our show." So I was at the house and we went outside and they were having a pool party. And I knew in the dream that the woman was having an affair with another man and the husband didn't care. He was just like, whatever, I don't care. And so the other man that came had brought an antique car. And for some reason, I needed to know that the car was on a, like, lifted. It was on, like a 4x4 truck, and there was another car into it. And I don't know exactly what that means yet. I'll keep praying about that. But I knew that it was very important that I knew that. So in the pool party, I was in the backyard, and I saw a friend of mine, and he had a hole where a lip ring was, and he asked me if I could get him one. I walked out in the front of the party, like on the street, and I saw down the street was another party. And when I walked down there, I saw the mayor of Los Angeles, Karen Bass, and she had a lip ring, and it was a butterfly. And I remember looking at it, and it was so brilliant. It was bright, and there was colors, and it was beautiful. It was just a butterfly, and it had all these different colors in it, and it was just a little lip ring right here. And I remember thinking, my goodness, this thing is beautiful. Can I have it? And I said, let me borrow that. She gave it to me, and I gave it to my friend. But then, the butterfly was so pronounced; it was very specific and something I needed to remember. But there was also something I remember in the dream, that all the people that were going into her party, there was a line out front of the house, and I remembered during the dream, all the people that went into the mayor's house, the mayor's party, the reason they were going there was to have just one rib. So early in the dream, when it was daytime, I saw people going to the mayor's party, and they were saying, "I'm going to the mayor's to have a rib." When I saw the last person who was at the party, this was nighttime. She said, "I'm still waiting to eat just one rib." And I said to her, "You've been waiting all day to have one rib?" And that was the end of the dream. And so I was researching
The one rib.
that butterfly. I can't explain it, how it looked. It was just so beautiful and
Mm-hmm.
brilliant, but it was on her lip, so, like, let's say, what does a butterfly represent? If we
Mm-hmm.
look up biblically, or what is a butterfly? Does a butterfly represent? It's like, um changing, resurrection, or revival, or
Okay.
this worm, or not worm, but what is it? Whatever a butterfly. It's a what is it? What is it
Some kind of
before? What is
caterpillar of some kind.
the term? Caterpillar, right? So you have this, like, slinky little worm that turns into this beautiful butterfly,
Mm.
and it was like, right at her lips. So what I saw was, like, whatever was coming out of her mouth was going to cause this change, this resurrection, this revival, this revolution, this
Sure.
this changing from a caterpillar to a butterfly. Not that she was a good person or doing good things. It was just that whatever she was saying, good or bad, was gonna
Yeah.
where it kind of went through this filter of a resurrection.
Yeah.
And then everybody talking about one rib. Well, so I was like, well, what is a rib? Why was everybody just need one rib?
Sure.
And when I researched that, what is a rib, right? One rib. What do I see? Where does the
Where
one
does
rib
one rib
talked
come from?
about in the Bible?
In the Bible, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and you know that's Genesis two
Yep.
22,
Yep.
right? So I see 2:22 all the time. It's amazing. Anyways, uh, so when God took the rib, He made something new, right?
Yeah.
He made a this woman, so the man wasn't alone,
Mm-hmm.
and it was like they now were trying to create something. Right, I just need one rib. I just need that one rib, and I
Sure.
can create this new movement against Trump. Right, we
Sure.
can create this thing. I don't know. That's it, he hasn't
I.
told me specifically, but I knew
Mm-hmm.
that it,
Mm-hmm.
it had to do with her. And so the first person, when I looked up these riots, like what do we see? Well, Karen Bass was the first person to stand out there. Oh, these are just peaceful protests. Don't that? I don't know why you're sending the National Guard to LA. We don't want it. We don't need it. This is Trump's fault. Trump did this. Trump. And it's like that is so gonna backfire on her.
Yeah.
People that live in that area do not want to see their stuff burned. They don't want to see their neighborhoods overtaken by these mobs of people having adult tantrums. It's just, anyways, and then the
Yeah.
rib. We'll see how that plays out, but
Sure.
that's what I
Yeah.
heard, and I knew that I had to mention LA because on it was April 28th or 29th. I don't remember exactly, but I knew that I was supposed to talk about it, and I think we were getting to the end of the show, and so
Yeah.
I just put out the little bit of it. Here
Well,
we are today.
interesting thing about it is that when you were talking about the one rib, that was the first thing I thought about. I was thinking about the woman.
Yeah.
I was thinking about a female or something like that, and that the revelation. This whole thing that's been going on with America over the last 4, 8 years has really all been about a woman. It's really all been about, and Jonathan Cahn brought this up quite a while ago also, and he was talking about the return of return of the kings, the return of the spirits, return of the deities, the return of this ancient female goddess, and that and we see it all over the place. We see the homosexuality, we see the transgenderism, we see the woke movement, we see the transgender athletes. We see it everywhere, and I think it's just a reminder. I think it's a reminder, and it's almost like a shout from on high. Guys, look out that this spirit is active. It is active out there, and so I think the two things I personally, when you're given these revelation, I think that we're talking about two separate things. The one thing about the rioting in L.A., Karen Bass, is one thing, but the one rib thing, that I just got to get this one rib thing, that is almost like a shout that this is the one thing that they're looking for. They're looking to continue just to push that agenda, because it has definitely been something that if we don't crush this thing, if there isn't a major move of God, this is not gonna stop. It's gonna keep getting worse and worse and worse.
Well, I mean, I look at they were all waiting outside. This party of people were waiting for just that one rib, right? That thing that represented a woman that they could put out there, like,
Okay,
oh,
so let me stop you for a
another
second.
another.
Did you say this was a party? This was a party waiting outside?
Yeah, there was a part. It was a party at the mayor's house, and they were all
Yeah.
waiting in line just to get that one rib.
Yeah, the party was
Yeah.
waiting.
Yeah,
It was a party, like a party,
Yeah.
a group, a group of people, right, was waiting. This is a party, right? I would hate to say that
Yes.
it is the Democrat Party, but it's definitely, if it smells like a duck and it walks like a duck and it quacks like a duck, it's a duck. You know, so I
I
think
mean,
we. Mhm.
we put it out there, and then you know we see how God moves in it. It's just, oh my goodness.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Aaron,
it was a
we
party. I went from one down the street.
yeah, I think we know what's going to happen here in the next. If and somebody said this on the news just recently, they said if if this country votes into office even during the next election cycle, which is in just a year and a half now, 2 years, the midterms, you are going to see a return to what just happened, what got us here. You're going to see moves from impeachment. You're going to see a blocking, and then you're going to see, because they know what's going to happen. Progressivism is generally incremental. It's kind of like they play the long game, right? Just get a little bit, a little bit, a little bit. It's progressive, right? But they know what just happened. They know that when conservatives got into office, that they want to, they're crushing it. They're crushing this. They're getting rid of it. And if they get back in office, you know what's going to happen? They know that they have no chance. They have no chance. But if they get into office, they're going to escalate the abomination like you wouldn't believe. It's not going to slow down.
Well, look at the first part of the stream, right? The first part of the stream was a couple who were have a TV show, right, to show people how to dance,
Yep.
right? So, okay, but when I went to their house, it was disgusting, and so they had a studio where they actually pretended to be at home doing these things. So, what do you see in the news, right? I saw, um, oh gosh, what's that lady from MSNBC? Uh, I don't
Which
remember her
one?
name,
There's
but
there's quite a few.
it
Yeah.
was it was it was one of the primetime ladies
Yeah.
that's still there.
Okay.
uh,
Okay.
gosh,
There's only a few of
I
those
can't
though.
the lesbian lady,
The
the
lesbian
lesbian
lady.
lady. I can't
Yes, her
remember her
name is
name.
Rachel Maddow.
That's the one. So
Yeah.
she was like, oh, right away, just twisting this whole thing. Trump, 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 Trump.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you have the media pretending that they're at this beautiful home, but yet it's filth, right? It's the real home is just filth and disgusting. And they're showing people how to dance. They're telling you exactly what they want you to know to lead you to look at the dumpster,
Yeah.
right? You could, that she's telling you, look at the dumpster. Oh, Trump, he came with matches and gas. He did that.
Mm-hmm.
It was him,
Mm-hmm.
right? So these people are teaching you exactly what you need to know, how to just stare at the dumpster. I mean, I think this was really good. This one was really, it took me a while to like really kind of lean in and understand what I was seeing because a lot
Mm-hmm.
of them are so complex and I don't understand and they're weird, right? They're like, that's weird. Why would why that? It doesn't matter. Like he's gonna let it be known in time um, exactly what he's telling me when I know that I have one that's so detailed and like the people's faces are, and
Mm-hmm.
it's like,
Sure.
okay, well, what does this mean? Somebody's house smelled like dog dookie, and but that's not really where they film. You know, I don't know. He's just
Yeah.
saying, don't be afraid. Whatever you see, the background is really smells like poop.
Oh yeah. Well, it's funny. Over the last couple of days, I've been watching um, uh, the writing, and I keep saying to myself, America could be so wonderful. Just could be so wonderful because we've got everything you need. I mean, we really do. We could, if we came together as a nation, it would be great. But then you've got but that's not what Satan wants. Satan does not want America to be great. Satan does not want America to have the best of everything. Satan wants America to be, as a matter of fact, he wants us to be very upset at time. But then the Lord spoke to me, and the Lord spoke to me, and He said, "You know what? We win. We win. And instead of talking so much about the bad things that are going on, we need to focus on the good things that He is going to bring. Because we can get so caught up in this. I mean, we really do. We do it all the time. And as somebody who does a little bit of journalism, you know, um, we can get caught up in the whole thing and just you know I think the word is amplify. We amplify the negative that's going on. But you said something very profound, and which is good. It says, "Don't be worried." We need to amplify
Yeah.
the good things that God is doing, that God is going to do, to those who believe. I mean, He's not going to do it for the people who don't believe because they've drunk the Kool Aid, right? They've drunk the Kool Aid already, and
I don't
they
care.
like it that way. They don't care. You saw the picture of the guys who are out there in this violence, and they're. It's like a almost you almost think of Abraham and Lot, right? And they went to Sodom and Gomorrah, and those people are just like jumping up and down, and they're just doing their thing, and they're cutting themselves, and they're doing their rituals and stuff like that. That's what this whole weekend has been, is a look at Sodom and Gomorrah, right? LA
Hmm.
has become the new Sodom and Gomorrah. And it's like, instead of it being a city of angels, it's a city of fallen angels, right? Not everybody, but the fallen angels that we saw out there in those streets are throwing rocks and they're doing everything else. Okay, all right, we see it. But the vast majority of people in LA are not that way. The vast majority of people
Yeah.
in California are not that way. Matter of fact, I mentioned this on another show, is that there's a movement afoot called New California. I don't know if you heard about it. I never asked you about this. Have you ever heard of this movement called New California? So when you get a chance, Google it. And basically what it is these people want to secede. They want to split California. And if you saw the map of what the New California looked like, you would think, well, where's the old California? Well, it's just on the coast. It's like L.A., San Diego, and then it skips and it goes up to San Francisco. That's all that is. That's California. The rest of California is New California, which means 99.9% of the country of the state doesn't want anything to do with that part of it. And that's really what God is. I think that once again, that's kind of an illustration of what God is saying. He's going, guys, guess what? I'm the 99.999%. And only that much of it is really trying to make you look at it. So that's all you see. So I think that this is uh, I think it's a great object lesson.
When I lived in Washington and I lived in Bremerton, it was like an hour ferry ride west of Seattle.
Mm-hmm.
Seattle was like you were saying, but all the rest of it was not like that. Like where I lived, people were not like that at all. They were
Mm-hmm.
different people. They were more, beards and flannels, kind of people. It wasn't not in a man bun way, but in a manly kind of way. You know what I mean? So it was just Seattle and Linwood and the surrounding areas that was like that. The rest of the state was not like that at all. I had friends and we used to go shooting like off the side of the road and like do
Mm-hmm.
things. It wasn't like that. But since you said that, I want to kind of leave with this. This is one I didn't send it to you, but I think it really has to do with what we're talking about
Mm-hmm.
today because this is really good. So I saw people driving a car into a neighborhood. Wasn't good, but there was a group of people, mostly girls, who saw them and they would trap their car and take their stuff. And they were walking back to their houses, and everybody was like, "What did you get? What did you get?" Like as if they were stealing parts off the cars as they were driving through the neighborhoods. And but in the other part of the stream, I was in a house, and there was a bunch of women that were living in this house, and they were like hippies, you could say, like kind of dressed like it was from the 60s. And I knew that I was in like Arcadia or Pasadena, Monrovia, and they were showing me this trail, and this trail led to this beautiful waterfall. It was like a waterfall of God's glory. And I remember telling one of the girls, I lived here in Azusa all my life, and I never saw this beauty in California. All we saw was, like we were saying, the dumpster fire. But behind the scene, is this beautiful waterfall of God's glory. And I remember thinking to myself how beautiful it was. Like, it's hidden in the background right now, but soon you will see it, you know? So anyways, I just know that it's it's for his purposes, whatever's happening. Just
Oh
don't
yeah.
be afraid. That's all.
Yeah, don't be afraid. That's right. Amen. He really does. I wanna remind everybody. We've got people who are in the chat over here, and sometimes I look over and I go, "Oh my gosh, I missed stuff." So sorry, sorry about that if I missed things. But you're definitely right. We were talking about before. We were talking about this female demon that has been trying to manifest itself. But guess what? And Aaron said something very practical and something so uh, pivotal that we need to understand is greater is he that is in us and he's in the world. You know, that Satan goes around roaring like a lion trying to get people scared. He's just trying to get people scared, but he knows that his days are numbered. We still win. Guess what? If we die today, guys, guess what? We win. If we live for another 50 years and the Lord doesn't come back, but then he's going to eventually come back. We still win, you guys. And we get a chance to represent him and to represent him to a dying world all the time. So we always win, guys. But Aaron, so before we leave, Aaron, because we just got about 2 more minutes or so, I want to ask you something very serious about something that's going on in your life, and because I know a lot of people have been asking about it, is that you've had this car that you bought, and I know you knew it was going to come. You knew it was coming.
Yeah, I knew it.
How is that? Have you named her yet? And if so, what's the name?
I have not. I am just thinking about it as an object. I don't want to covet my car because it is so beautiful.
Because it is so beautiful. I don't want to covet my car. Yes.
Oh, I'm already having issues. Oh man, the transmission is not shifting right. It's got an old 60s power glide push button transmission, and I think that it's failing because so I'm gonna buy a new transmission, maybe a manual, something
really
like a manual. Yeah, I don't want to automatic.
So you're gonna? It's just temperamental, dude. Is this what I tell my wife? I tell my wife, I go, honey, are you just gonna replace me with a younger guy, or are you just gonna work on me? Work on me. Don't trade me in.
It's 90 years old. I don't think you're that old yet, but it is temperamental. It's very temperamental.
Very
it's 90 years old, and oh my goodness, yeah. I don't know. Sometimes I feel like things are falling apart, and I'm like, and I slip it through my fingers, and then I'm like, I close my fingers, and then it's falling. I don't know what to do, but I know what to do. I just don't want to. It's hot.
It's hot. Oh yeah, definitely hot. Which means you have to get a new garage now, or put air conditioning in your garage, and you
know what I did? I do actually is I have one of those portable air conditioners, and it is a 3-car garage, but if you put a carpet fan and you lay it down sideways on top of that air conditioner, it cools my whole garage. It's amazing. It's actually I've done that for a couple years now. I just put the portable AC, which is not enough BTUs to cool the garage, but when you put that carpet fan, the ones that are kind of like a snail, and you turn it sideways so it's sucking the air and pushing it out, the whole garage stays cold.
There you go. Well, folks, if you want to see Aaron's car on our show, just write to us, because you're in the chat over here. Just write to us and say, hey, I want to see Aaron's car. We don't want to just hear about it. We want to hear it, and let us know, because we would love to. I've not seen the car yet, because I'm going to go out and visit Aaron, though. I'm going to go out and visit him so I can see her, and maybe I'll bring pictures back of the car. And so that you guys
I know what you'll do.
It's gonna be good. It's gonna be good. It's gonna be good. Aaron, it's been good. But anyways, so I'm gonna let you go, brother. We'll see you again next week. Okay.
All right. Bye now.
All right. Bye. And thank you guys for being a part of the broadcast. I want to thank you all so much, Apostle Philip. Maybe I'll take you up on that offer, because he was asking about. We were talking about generational curses, and he was saying that he's just got this got the inside skinny on it. Anyways, I want to thank you all for being a part of the broadcast today. Once again, if you want to get in on the conversation, you'd like to write us at thisweekinprophecy@gmail.com. That's thisweekinprophecy@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. Also, you can write to us. You can check us out on Godstream TV, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify. Well, this has been Pastor Sherman Ray for This Week in Prophecy. Thank you once again for being a part of the broadcast, folks. We will see you again next week for more of This Week in Prophecy. You guys have a nice one. We'll talk later. Bye-bye.